In 2016, Canelo Alvarez ducked Triple G. He ducked Triple G. He was the WBC middleweight champion. I believe he had the ring title as well at the time. And he had just knocked out Amir Khan. A devastating knockout of a chinny welterweight who's really his best days were at 140 pounds. And he did that at 155 pounds Canelo weight. And he was doing that at Canelo weight because he was WBC middleweight champion, but was at the time claiming he wasn't a real middleweight. So that's why they did it at 155 pounds. All the while, Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, was unified middleweight champion at the time, and he was Canelo's mandatory. He threw that belt away, not figuratively speaking, and basically he seemed to be pretty against the WBC. Because the WBC, where he was the darling at the time of the WBC, he went and he fought Liam Smith at 154 pounds for a WBO 154 pound title. He beat him. And then the man who was claiming to not be a middleweight in May of 2017 fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. at a catch weight of 154.5 pounds, super middleweight. Make that make sense. During which time, Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, had fought Kell Brook, and he beat Kell Brook, broke his eye, but was tagged up aplenty in that fight. And that was against a welterweight, a big welterweight, but a welterweight at that. And then he has to go and make a mandatory defense of his WBA title in a consolidation of a regular and full champion. Obviously, Dan Jacobs was the regular WBA champion, and you think a consolidation means that gets rid of the title, but clearly not with the WBA. But anyway, they meet, I think it was St. Patrick's weekend in 2017. I believe it was the middle of March. And in that fight, Triple G had a very hard fight, an extremely hard fight. To this day, I still feel Danny Jacobs won that fight. It was very close. The knockdown in round 4, I believe it was, really did help Triple G. But it was a very close nip and tuck competitive fight. Me personally, I felt Jacobs won. I really did. After that fight is when we get, well, obviously Chavez Jr., that was a formality. And then we get the Triple G Canelo fight. Now, in 2016, was Canelo ducking Triple G? He absolutely was. You can duck someone and then eventually fight them. What did he do? He saw slippage in Triple G. Because at the time, Triple G was fighting the likes of Dominic Wade, David Lemieux, and these were his mandatory and a unification. These were the best available contenders, Canelo aside. So there was only so much you could do at middleweight back then. And obviously he was going through them. He was superior to the Dominic Wades and the David Lemieux. He had to bring Kell Brook up and fight. Kell Brook obviously agreed, so no one forced him to do it. Kell Brook fought Triple G, lost, and then he fought Danny Jacobs, who was, you take Lemieux and all, he was a legit middleweight, and a good middleweight at that. Once he's fought those guys, he looked a bit more human. And he was in his late 30s at the time. So it was at that point Canelo agreed to fight him. They had their fight. It was a draw. A lot of people felt Triple G won. But Canelo was happy to go in there again, and I felt Canelo did win legitimately the rematch. And after that point, Canelo seemed to redeem himself in many ways because he didn't play around. He really didn't. Whatever you want to say about the Triple G, yeah, he was ducking him in 2016, certainly. But he really did redeem himself. He fought Sergey Kovalev. He fought Danny Jacobs. He fought Billy Joe Saunders. He went up and he lost, but he still fought Dmitry Bivol. A fight in which, Bivol was never going to be... Bivol is not the cash cow. He's not going to put massive eyes on fights. He cleaned up 168 pounds. He fought Callum Smith. He fought Caleb Plant. He did have an easy gimme fight against Avni Yildirim, it has to be said, but nevertheless, he still ended up beating Billy Joe Saunders. So Canelo fought all comers. He really did. And then obviously to cherry on top of the cake, he beats Triple G decisively in the trilogy fight. So Canelo's doing everything right. He takes the loss against Dmitry Bivol. It was a clear loss, and it's crazy to think that the judges had it so close, but it was a clear win for Dmitry Bivol. He was the better man, much better fighter on the night. Canelo goes and he fights Triple G, he fights John Ryder, he fights Charlo, and now he's fighting Munguia. But we're going back to 2016 with this, because it's like 2016 all over again, only this time it seems that Canelo is taking some of Tyson Fury's tactics and using that now, in as much as, he's saying, Dave Benavidez, I'm saying Lemieux. David Lemieux is a weight bully. You knocked out Amir Khan at 155. Seriously, mate. You can't weight bully. Look in the mirror with that one at one stage. And then he said he wants 150 to 200. Again, that's the Tyson Fury game. price himself out. Oh, you can't go up with the money, or why should I fight you? Why did you fight John Ryder? People saying like, oh, well, David Benavidez, he doesn't bring that much to the table. Well, did John Ryder bring much to the table? Oh, that's different. John Ryder was Canelo's mandatory. Yes, so was Benavidez. So why did he fight him? As far as I'm concerned, this is ducking from Canelo Alvarez. It absolutely is. Yes, you're fighting Jaime Munguia, but is Jaime Munguia your mandatory? Is he considered one of the best at 168 pound? I believe he's only had one fight at 168. And yeah, don't get me wrong, it's a good fight. Stylistically, I think it's going to be an entertaining fight. But I also think stylistically Benavidez is a brilliant fight for Canelo as well. And at the end of the day, Benavidez, coming into that fight, he's your mandatory with the WBC. So you really should be defending that title. And I bring the WBC back up again because Canelo, I don't want to say he didn't burn bridge with the WBC, but he definitely was kind of like, the hell with you guys making me fight Triple G. And what happened? As soon as Canelo started, getting back in the WBC's book, he was already their darling. But then it was kind of like, a wounded lover who, their partner had walked out and come back, and it's like, I will never let you leave again. Because that's what it's like now with Alvarez. It's like, you left, but you're back. I will never let you leave. That's what Sullivan is like with him now. Because they will probably make, even though he's mandatory, Benavidez, they may not call that mandatory. They might make him jump through hoops in order to keep it. Who knows? But as far as I'm concerned, Canelo, it's history repeating itself with Canelo Alvarez. The difference being is that Canelo was the younger fighter who we all wanted him to fight Triple G. Whereas now he's the older fighter. He's not an old man. He's 34. He's not even 34 years old until July. But Benavidez is the up and comer, and Benavidez is the guy, who's trying to make he's trying to make super middleweight his division. He's been around that division for years, so it is the same. There's no doubt in my mind that this is a duck from Canelo, and I want to see him fight Benavidez. I want to see the best fight the best. Canelo, like people would compare it to Tyson Fury. Canelo's resume is just, it's night and day compared to Tyson Fury. It's not even close. Canelo has fought brilliant fighters, and his resume is stacked, right? But that doesn't give him a pass at the end of the day. You say you want consistency, that's consistency. Canelo does not get a pass. If you are WBC champion, if you are unified, undisputed champion at 168, and Dave Benavidez is your next challenger, fight him. Because you're champion, you have that responsibility. If you don't want to be champion, fair enough. Vacate the titles. If you don't want to fight Benavidez, vacate the title. Don't hold on to it and be like, oh, he's a formality, we don't need to think of him. No, you definitely do. I'm not liking what I'm seeing with Alvarez. He can't use I don't want to fight a Mexican anymore because he's fighting Jaime Munguia. To be honest with you, if they did do Benavidez next, I'd be picking Canelo. I would be picking him just based upon, I think it'd be very competitive, but I would be picking Canelo. I wonder what it is. I was watching Outmatch Boxing's video on this, and he was saying that maybe it's the fact that Canelo doesn't want to lose or doesn't like to lose. And I guess that's part of it, because losing to Floyd Mayweather, everyone's lost to Floyd Mayweather. Everyone he's fought has lost. Whether you agree with some of those decisions or not, everyone he's fought has lost. When you look at Bivol hasn't lost yet. He may very well become undisputed light heavyweight champion, in which case you would say, well, he's the best light heavyweight of this generation. So to lose to a generational talent in Floyd Mayweather, an all-time great in Floyd Mayweather, and to lose to a generational, possibly all-time great talent in Dimitri Bivol, they are only two losses. You're not doing too bad. It's like Anthony Joshua. He avenged the Ruiz defeat, fair enough, and he's 2 defeats to Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk, already you could say greatest cruiserweight of all time, may become undisputed heavyweight champion, maybe the best of this era. It's hardly the worst loss to have on your record, to be fair. It's not like that's gonna, it's gonna follow you to the grave. Oh, you lost to Usyk. It's not the worst loss to have. Same with Tyson Fury. If he loses to Usyk, or if Alexander Usyk loses to Tyson, it's not the worst loss to have. With Canelo, he probably looks at Benavidez and thinks he may lose some of that Mexican following. That Benavidez may, the old lion, was taken out by the new lion, and he's the king of the herd, and that Benavidez maybe won't have the career that Mayweather had, or maybe is on course to having the career that Bivol is going to have, and thinking, well, No shame in losing to those two, but what if Benavidez goes to light heavyweight and he's not the star? What if, what if he doesn't do much at light heavyweight, goes to the cruiser and gets sparked, and then they're like, well, at least you got the Canelo win. Maybe that's what Canelo's thinking. I don't know. But I want to see Canelo fight Benavidez. And I ain't going to let him away with just, okay, I'll fight Munguia and then I'll fight whoever. No. Benavidez. If he's your mandatory, the WBC called that mandatory, you 100% should be fighting Dave Benavidez. I hate this whole, rehydration, this, that, and the other. I've no issue with catchweight fights as long as they're non-title fights. I don't like having a title. And at the end of the day, even if you do have a title fight with a catchweight, I remember the WBC were asked about this at the time he was doing Canelo weight, and they were like, yeah, he'll just get fined. The title will still be on the line, but they'll just find the other fighter, which is, again, if you're fighting for a title, if it's 160, fight at 160. I don't mind them for non-title fights, as I said, but regardless, whether it's title fight or non-title fight, I hate rehydration clauses. I hate them. I really, and it's always going to benefit one and not benefit the other. It's always going to be one-sided. And, so Ryan Garcia, I had a rehydration clause. No one forced you to sign that. When he brings that up about tag, you had enough sway. You didn't have to sign that. So I don't like the rehydration clause. But with Alvarez, yeah, for me, it's not even a look, it is. It's a duck with Benavidez. And I don't want to see that. I don't like seeing especially good fights like that, where one fighter is clearly ducking the other, and the other fighter is having to go through hoops almost in order to get this shot. No. That's my thoughts on the Alvarez-Benavidez situation. Let me know yours in the comments section below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. Peace.